Hey guys, this is Jason Gruner, and we're doing a year-end 2024 Homes Price Report review for Oak Hill. If you don't know, my name's Jason Gruner. I'm an agent with Coldwell Banker right here in Nashville, Tennessee, and I list and sell a decent number of homes in Oak Hill. I track this area pretty closely, and I put out a monthly market report that shows how much homes are actually selling for in Oak Hill over the last 30 days. It's a new year. I figured it made sense to kind of go through what happened in Oak Hill in 2024, what we're seeing in the market, and what we can expect for next year. So we're going to go through this. I'm going to go through some of the stats, average prices, days on market. We're going to look at the 5 most expensive homes sold in Oak Hill. We'll pick out a few other ones to look at it well. This should give you a great feeling for what happened in 2024. And we'll look ahead a little bit to what I think is going to happen in 2025. So this is Oak Hill, this section that's outlined here. Obviously, Oak Hill is its own town within Davidson County. It's about 2,500 total homes. In 2024, we saw 96 homes sell and close. We're going to take a look at those stats, but we saw everything from, there are a couple lower end ones, just there's some stuff kind of in flood zone, there are smaller little cluster developments, all the way up to we had a handful go for over 10 million. So just to take a quick look at some of the stats for what we saw. These are averages, median, and mean. What I always look at is the average of what we saw. Just over $2.5 million was that average sales price. The typical home sold for 96, we're going to round up a little bit, 96% of the list price. What that means is if you list for $1 million, on average, they sell for about $960,000. Days on market, 39 days. So typically, the average home is on the market for at least a month before it goes to contract. LTC is listing to contract. So you put your home on the market, you list it, it actually closes about 87 days later on average. So that's what we're seeing. The average price per square foot is $485. Does that mean just take your square footage, multiply it times 45, and that's what your home's worth? Most likely not, because we have a good variety of homes in Oak Hill. We have brick ranches that were built in the 60s, and we have brand new luxury mansions that were built in 2024, and a bunch that are finishing up in 2025. So you can't really use that per square footage number as like a true comp. You really need an agent to kind of go through it with you and tell you what your home might be worth. And if you want to see what these homes sell for, every month I put out a market report. It's free. I just email it to you. I'm not going to bug you or anything. You just go to oakhillhomesreport.com. Fill this out. You'll be on the list the first week of the month. I try to get these out to give you a good idea of how much homes are selling for in Oak Hill. So this is the map. We kind of saw it spread everywhere in 2024. We're just going to dive into this a little bit. This is everything that's sold. We're going to start with the fun ones, the expensive ones, the really good looking stuff. The first one, we're going to do top 5. We had 2 that closed over 10 million bucks. Now the ones that are 10 million bucks are typically on larger lots, and then obviously they're huge, gorgeous homes. You usually won't see a $10 million closing on a 1-acre lot. It's something like this. This is on Franklin Pike. The square footage is 9,400 square feet. It's on a 2.5-acre lot. So it's a massive lot on a main street. This is one of those ones that's set way back from the street. Just a picturesque, like Nashville estate. These are the ones that go for north of $10 million. We'll go back. The next one that closed is listed at $10 million. Actually closed a little bit over that. This one was a new build. It was 9,500 square feet. This one's it really felt like a double lot because it's 1.7, but it's like this big, wide corner over on Gateway. Stunning home. I think these folks came in and added a pool and some upgrades and stuff like that. So what was listed at $10 million, actually closed a little bit higher than that. I believe they went under contract pretty early in the process, so they came in and customized that thing. Again, 9,500 square feet on an awesome lot in one of the best sections of Oak Hill. I love that section of Oak Hill. It's walkable. It's easy to get everywhere. Just a really, really cool property on that one. Number 3 for the year was this one on Granny White. Someone bought this one and the one next to it and redid these things. They're unbelievable. They did an amazing job. This one's 10,000 square feet, just over 2 acres in size. Just a really amazing property. This one didn't have a pool. I'll be curious to see if the new owners end up adding one. 7.8 is a big number, but I mean, I kind of feel like the buyers got a pretty good deal on that for what it is. I mean, it's 10,000 square feet. It's on Granny White. It's right there by Tyne. A-plus location. Just a great setup for that estate style, that estate in Nashville. Next one's at 5250. This was an amazing house. Just some of the views from this one are one of a kind. This is tucked in there, close to Radnor, kind of tucked away, a little bit more private than the other ones we looked at. But this is just a stunning example of what a luxury home is. This thing is amazing, just on the fit and finish. And then you see just that framed up view out that window. Just an unbelievable setting on this home, and that's why it's sold at such a premium. That thing went off the market in 5 days. And then there was a huge one. This was this is the one on Franklin Road. This one's a little bit funky in terms of the house itself, but I mean, it's just a ton of square footage. I think it's like 5-acre lot. We'll double check that. It has a barn in the back of it, just tons of space. This resort style oasis in the backyard, right on Franklin Pike. They had a tennis court in there too. I mean, this one truly had it all. It's a little bit unique on the inside. It's definitely a specific buyer and flavor for that style of house. But for $7.5 million, you're getting 5 acres. Just a really, really, really significant property sale in Oak Hill. That thing closed at 6.9. So those are the high end. Those are the top 5 that sold. Obviously, these are not the average home in Oak Hill. The average home in Oak Hill is that $2.5 million number. And again, if you want to know kind of what's going on in the market, what the more traditional homes in Oak Hill are selling for, I put out this report every month. It's going to break down every home that's sold, whether it's an old brick ranch or a new luxury one, or there's a handful of small cluster stuff and duplex in Oak Hill, but the majority of them, I mean, Oak Hill was built in the 50s and 60s, so the majority of the homes that are still here are older brick ranches. And if you want to know how much builders and developers and end users wanting to build custom homes are paying for, the report is the perfect way to get that. So I break it down every month. I go through what went under contract, what's sold, what's currently on the market, and we just kind of look through all that, and I give you my opinion on stuff. So we're going to take a look at the least expensive ones. Now this one, the one on Battleboro, let me see if I can get that pulled up real quick here. I believe is not just like a traditional single family. Yep, I think it's attached. It's a townhouse. It's attached to something else. There are a couple small little pockets of Oak Hill where you have some of these in here. It's not a true single family, so it doesn't fit like with all the other averages in the neighborhood. So that kind of is on the low end. This one on Redwood, cool house, $625. Now, why in a neighborhood in an area where sometimes lots are going for close to $2 million would a lot sell for $625, or a house on a lot sell for $625? As you look out these windows, you can probably see this is an incredibly sloped lot. There's also some high tension power lines that run through Radnor that go through a section of Oak Hill. If you see something in the 6s, there's a good chance it backs up to those power lines. They still sell. I mean, every house still sells. They're just not quite as marketable because the people who are willing to live in that kind of setup, there's just not as many of them, and they're not willing to pay a premium. So stuff like that, $625, that's kind of on the low end on what we'll see in Oak Hill. This one on General Bait went for $670. That's a really good value. There's a handful of Oak Hill where we see these smaller lots. This one's right at a 1/4 acre. Technically in Oak Hill over there on General Bait. That's a great street. General Bait's fascinating. Half of the street is in Oak Hill. The other half is in Green Hills. So you see big houses on one side in Oak Hill because you can't subdivide. On the other side of the street, it's just Metro and Green Hills. So you can do an HPR. So you see the tall and skinnies on the other side of the street. Here's one on Prescott. We'll just show you the location of this one real quick. Prescott is on the other side of Franklin Pike. So Oak Hill is the traditional Oak Hill is on the west side of Franklin Pike. There are some homes over by Father and Ryan. Once we get closer to 65, we see kind of the lower end of that range. There's a good example of that, $700,000 over on that side. Really good value to be in Oak Hill for sure. I mean, I'm sure that's a flat lot. It's an acre. Just a good opportunity to pick up something at a really good price on that side. We got one on Brindley. Brindley is, I believe, in that same area. Yep, it's right over there by Overton, just south of it. Again, I don't want to say like less desirable, but it's not as you're not going to command a premium on that side of Oak Hill. So that's kind of what we see. That's kind of high end and the low end. Again, that high 7, 8, 9, 10 million bucks. We see these on the big artery streets like Granny White. Occasionally we'll see one on Harding, but we see them on Franklin Pike, and then anything down on Tyne when those pop up, or Overton Lee. That's where we see those estate homes, estate lots selling for those prices. But the average Oak Hill home is somewhere in the middle here. This stuff where it's flat, 1 acre lots go for $1.4 to $2 million, and then the smaller stuff up here, General Bate, Albert, kind of that kind of part of the world, we see a good mixture. And then we see a lot of premium stuff over here by the Governor's Mansion, just a really good spot as well. So that's a quick breakdown of Oak Hill. Again, average sales price in Oak Hill is right at $2.6 million. The average days on market will take about 39 days to sell, or it did in 2024. What are we seeing in 2025? Already the first couple weeks, we've seen really good activity. It does seem like there's a little bit more life in the market. The last 3 months of 2024 are really slow. So hopefully it's a good sign of what's to come here in Oak Hill. Fingers crossed. I actually live in Oak Hill. It's my favorite part of town just because I think it's so convenient to get everywhere, and you can still find big lots in Davidson County. They're expensive, but it's an absolutely fantastic place to live. Again, if you want this report, I send it out every month. Just go to oakhillhomesreport.com, or if you just see this video somewhere, just comment on it. I'll make sure to get you linked up so you can get your copy of the report. Hope that's helpful for you, and I'll talk to you soon.